Hello there, and welcome to Think the Maker, a podcast about heroes, princesses, scoundrels, hokey religions, ancient weapons, and all things Star Wars. I'm Adam Russell.
And I am Mike Forster, and we have a friend, a dear friend, the cheesiest of pizza slices, the burliest of beards, Mr. at this point might as well be Mos Eisley himself, Jake Holland.
Listen.
What's up?
Good evening, my dudes. It is a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you.
It is great to be here.
I see you on social media all the time. I see your face. We've never sat in this format or anything even approaching this format. I don't think we've ever actually sat in chairs and talked either. It's always
I don't think we have. We're always standing.
Oh, what's up, dude? Oh my god!
Like, holy crap! There's people in the room, and we're gonna go jump off the stage real quick.
Yeah, that's usually
true.
the mode.
We've never had like a civil, just like quieter time, just hanging out.
Right.
And passing in the con, the adjacent cons that link up with Mosh, but
even then, standing up amidst chaos. Never.
This is true. It is always amidst chaos. Various levels
sit down
of
and
chaos.
talk. Yeah.
Fresh air with Jake. Yeah, dude. So Nick has left for tour, and whenever our partners here go on tour and they get real busy, and you never know what's going to happen. The venues have bad service, whatever happens. We're like, who else? Which of our friends can we bring on to talk about what's happening in their lives? And I have been trying to link up with you to get you on the show because you're millennial enough to be able to ride these waves of all this newfangled social media stuff. And you've done it so well. And I know that there's so many people at this point, like you've been a huge help in promoting Mos Eisley with us, and you've also practically become family with the Roosevelt's crew, and there's a lot of interesting conversations happening with social media, with our who we are as people, to put kind of stamp our approval on things. That's something that's very difficult when it comes to companies wanting to get eyes on things, and I think that you've done it so well, so brilliantly. Get on the show. Let's talk about this.
Dude, it's been a wild ride. It is. I'm glad this is what I always say. I'm glad it's happening to me now and not when I was 15, 16. Because I would like to trust and think that myself then would be handling things fairly well, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. I feel like it could have gone to my head.
Kids are idiots. Probably not. You'd be screwed.
Yeah, I would be. You would be. So this is nice. This is when it should have happened, and I'm glad it happened now. It's definitely bizarre riding the social media wave as a 40-year-old.
Sure.
I have to remind myself that I'm now in my 40s, which is bizarre.
Sure.
But no, it's been super fun. I feel like it has been so validating and worthwhile because of moments like this, like the community, which is a huge obvious aspect of why we love Star Wars, the community aspect. But that's been the most fun of all of this, riding this bizarre, joyously chaotic wave of whatever you want to call it with social media.
Sure.
Nice.
Sometimes it's hyperspace lanes, sometimes it's ooze, sometimes it's whatever it is. So Jake, bring us back to the beginning. You are you're a dad, you're living down south, you've got your background. We talked about this. We had that conversation about you're a graphic designer as your day job. Are you now doing content creation as your full-time gig?
Not yet.
Okay.
I feel like it was close pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And then that just threw everything all out of whack.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel like it's getting back to a point where that might be realistic again.
Right.
Okay.
Well, before you rewind to the beginning, first, for anyone listening who isn't familiar with you, doesn't know your name or your face, it would be weird, honestly, with our listening base. I feel like Mike said, we overlap a lot. But for those folks, in broad brushstrokes, obviously you're what people call influencers these days. You're one of those folks, but you're a content creator. Like Mike said, you have graphic design as a foundation. How would you describe yourself? How would you describe what you do to someone that you just met for our listeners?
I feel like I've come back around to just accepting whatever title people throw at it.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a while we'd kind of buck back like, oh, no, I don't want to be considered an influencer or a content creator. But it just is what it is. It's just the labels that are thrown at things now. it's kind of hard to put a label initially. I don't know. I feel like I do a lot. I don't know. I don't want to consider myself a jack of all trades, but it go from whether it's social media or it's emceeing events or if it's hopping up on stage, goofing off, there's a lot that kind of comes into play. And thankfully a majority is social media. So I can fall back and say, I'm a content creator. I would lean more towards content creation.
Right.
There's some influence in there, but I'm not, obviously I wouldn't say I'm not showing off like apparel, because obviously that's a huge part of it. Roosevelt's is, is a massive portion of that, which was super cool. And that kind of comes into play naturally, but I'm not doing, OOTD, whatever, outfit of the day. And
yeah,
what people may lean towards what an influencer is, but I guess that comes into play some of it, but
yeah.
Well,
go ahead and then take us back and tell us how you got, like, how this path started, how you're following. I assume there was sort of a what do you call it, like a turning point moment, kind of an inflection point where it became a thing.
I think it was Vine, wasn't it? Was it Vine?
Vine was the start. Vine,
man.
It could go even further back. It could go back to childhood, where I was like jumping in front of whatever family member had the camcorder, if we even know what those are anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
This all goes all the way back to Jackass.
It goes way back. It goes way back to that era. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But no, Vine was really where it became, it clicked, and I realized this could be something, because this is weirdly taking off. Something is finally becoming of all the on video or off video antics. That was a really cool proving ground. That's what always kind of comes back around for when I'm linking up and reuniting with ex-Viners, because we were so limited at the beginning with just 6 seconds.
Right.
It became like a really cool, like I said, proving ground for trying to tell whether that was a joke or a quick story, or just capture some sort of moment, whether that like looped for, it worked as a loop or not.
I would also assume that
capture that in there.
Yeah. I would assume that having a brain that's creative enough to figure out what works for that format really knocks a lot of hopeful content creators or influencers out in the first round. Like
right. So then it became frustrating when they laxed on some of their restrictions, and they would police. Sometimes you'd get booted if you figured out how to hack the app, and how are they posting an 8-second Vine? It was just the stupidest, most trivial stuff now, looking back on what we would get so upset about. But I don't know. It was so cool that everybody was on an even playing field. We all had the same minimal approach. You could literally just tap the screen, it would record, or if you hands off, it stopped. And then you threw in the extra bells and whistles as the years went by, and then it all came crashing down for whatever reason, financial or political. Who knows? I don't know what it all really came down to. But I'm grateful. It happened, because it laid the foundation for some crazy opportunities. And again, I'm going to toss in the element of community. That was huge. I was traveling around the country, not on anybody else's dime, just to go hang out with other Viners and just make stupid 6-second videos. Wow. New York City, LA, and then third party stuff started happening. Realizing, I can make money making these dumb, stupid little videos. There was a handful of moments that were like almost like bucket list, like how is this really happening? That eventually, for whatever reason, the first one that comes to mind, I was supposed to be flown out to New York City to go to the top of the Empire State Building and make a couple Vines with Blink.
Oh, wow.
For, I think there was the promotional run for, what was California?
Yeah. It
was the first one with Skiba.
Yeah.
Was that California? Okay.
Yep.
And then like a week or two before, they were like, we got overbooked. Like our manager overbooked us with a lot of stuff in the city. We can only offer like 15-20 minutes of time, which I'm like, these are 6-second videos. That's plenty more than enough time.
Yeah.
But they backed off, and we're like, we just feel bad. Like we only have like this minimal window.
Sure.
And so they bailed. And then within like 6 months, 8 months, Vine either had already closed up by that point, or it was announced it was going away. So then it was like, oh, cool, this is never going to happen, because it was supposed to, rain check to another promotional run or a
Yeah.
tour or something.
Yeah.
But all that to say, that just became, even though it didn't happen, that was more proof that like, wow, this is something's happening here.
Yeah. But even before
that,
so it's interesting to me. Like, it makes sense now. A viral moment on any social media platform equals, new career path potential. But
right,
in the Vine days, like, how big did it pop off? What was it? Like, was it a single Vine that really happened, or was it just like watching the curve, and all of a sudden it
mostly
it felt
that,
like a thing?
yeah. There was a handful of different like series. I would kind of capitalize like, oh, that worked. I'm going to do more. I'm going to turn that into like a multi-part thing. One of the biggest ones was playing another version of myself that would interrupt me just kind of hanging out, chilling, whether I'm just walking in the door calmly or I'm sitting on the couch and I look over and there's me with a boombox. Or about to grab the boombox, and then I'm like, no, don't do it, and then press the play on the cassette, and it's the Space Jam song.
Sure.
So very much like how TikTok kind of started popping off.
Basically, yeah. Which is funny also in retrospect, that I initially was like, no, I'm not getting on that. That's ridiculous. It's a lip syncing app, when a lot of the stuff I was doing was goofily like lip syncing to songs. I'm like, this is the same thing. Why was I opposed?
Right.
I think looking back on it, Vine was kind of that first, I think the first time where I thought that social media was starting to be like, oh, these can be funny. Like, this is quick jokes. It's fast. It's not like your 3-minute viral video on YouTube of a kid getting shot with a paintball gun. Like all of this, all of this stuff was very early, internet. But Vine was the first thing where I remember being like, damn, like, Instagram was great when it's first started, because it was like this idea of just like posting a picture that meant a lot to you. The idea was to slow down, look at it, maybe just like it, maybe comment, this is really great. Okay, cool. Then they stress out about Vine. It's like, we want you to scroll fast. You only get 6 seconds, shooting people into the moon as far as like, just eyes on you. And then Reels happens, and then Snapchat, and everyone's like trying to go faster and faster. And I also think Vine was kind of the beginning of where we would almost start to see influencer burnout too. In the same sense of like, you would, the iconic, like, guy walking into the Bass Pro Shops and jumping into the pond. Right. And I'm like, that guy got arrested. And that was like the first thing where it was like, we started seeing people, that literally was the hashtag. It was like, do it for the Vine. Right. Where it was like, they did not care about the consequence. And subsequently we started to see like, is this where people's complete sociopathy just goes on display here, right? And and I remember very quickly being like, man, this is where I feel like I'm just a little too old to be going, am I contributing to this? And so it started turning into a thing where I know for a lot of millennials, it was very hard to kind of figure out how we wanted to be a part of social media, because if we were in that same age where like I was one of the first class to have Facebook outside of Harvard in 2005. And so there was a small group of like 20 schools that somehow our school got it. And I remember towards the end of college, I was like, I'm starting to really hate where all this is going. But like also understanding too the importance of where the micro marketing started to happen, where you started seeing ads and the grid showed up for Google and Facebook and all of these things. So tell us a little bit, because I think too, there's over hate on influencers, content creators, because like for me, I see it completely as like, if it's done authentically, which is why we wanted to bring you on. I absolutely trust certain people to go, give us your take on it. I like Jen Markham is another person I had on Armor Party. I love that Disney brings her out to events, and she's like, I didn't love this one. Like this movie's okay. I love the costumes. I love this, but like, I didn't love it overall. Like, this would be cool. And she's not afraid to like dunk on certain products. She's like, hey, they sent me this. I want to show it off. It's pretty cool if it works for you.
And also not a hate baiter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's the other thing. So, I mean, how have you kind of seen the world navigate in terms of like, you're getting, approached by companies. There's a matter of trusting your own authenticity beyond whatever free thing they're going to send you, because you know that you have to kind of put your reputation out there. What has that been like for you to navigate in terms of working with, I'm sure, some of these really great companies that you kind of have to do, you have that struggle of being like, what am I doing here that still feels like me?
Right. I think it's been actually kind of difficult, because not in the sense of what I've been offered or what I've been able to do, but in terms of the times that some have kind of bucked back and be like, oh, you're kind of becoming a little bit of a shill here.
Sure.
I feel like it's panned out that way.
We get called that too, Jake.
Oh, it's bound to happen. And
you know what I mean?
Unfortunately,
like, hey,
in the Star Wars realm,
I like Skeleton Crew. They're like, shill.
Yeah, right. You like, suck. Yeah. As soon as I said, which I know it's been spoken to exhaustion here, I'm sure, in the episodes I've listened to in the past, but as soon as I said anything positive about the Acolyte, I mean,
oh yeah, sure.
There opens that can of worms. So there's that.
Sure.
But it's been a little bit difficult, because the majority of the stuff I've been offered or sent, whether it's a mailer or an event I get to go to, it just literally has just so happens that majority of that stuff I actually I've enjoyed. So I can see how it looks to many like, oh, you're just being positive about everything just because, you're being paid to say that. And
right.
Vast majority of the time also, no, I'm not being paid. It's literally just like, oh, I get to go watch this early. That's the only perk. There's no payment behind it.
Yeah.
So I can see how there's been, for some that may have not fully grasped or understood that this is my real opinion. It's not up for sale. I mean, I guess just thankfully that most of the stuff I've seen or reviewed or reacted to has legitimately been stuff I've enjoyed. So that in that sense, it's been kind of tough. For those that are like closer to a lot of the bigger events, proximity wise, whether they're in LA or New York,
right,
that there's a wider range of stuff they've been invited out to. So that opens up the possibility that it's going to be something that maybe, it wasn't that great.
Sure.
And if that's the case, I'm going to say that it's going to be about the same, but it just, so the way that everything's happened thus far has mostly been stuff I've loved. So that's been a little bit of a difficult scenario, but not too much. I don't somehow 12, 13 years into this, however many years, thankfully, haven't dealt with much hate, which has been really cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that feels like a mark of some sort of success. So that's been nice.
There's something about your vibe that just feels hard to be cynical about, like, I mean, your handle is Pizza Beard Party. So
Yeah.
it's tough to be like, I mean, it doesn't indicate like I'm a reviewer. I'm the one that's going to give you the real scoop on this. It's just like, I'm here to have a good time with this shit, with these handful of fandoms
and people. He really does. It's incredible.
That's what I hope comes
like
across.
Pizzas, beards, and parties.
It's crazy. I went to literally his pizza party at San Diego Comic-Con. It was perfect.
Yeah, that's what I've always hoped it comes across is I legitimately do like the stuff I'm talking about or posting about, and at the end of the day, I just want to have a good time. It's a lot of fun community, interactions and just benefits feels like a wrong word to it, but
sure.
That's a lot of it. I mean, like you said, like the pizza parties we get to have through Roosevelt's at a lot of the cons, Mosh Isley, whatever has rippled out from everything that we've been involved in. I think that's when it becomes extra real for those that, get to interact in person and realize, if they weren't already convinced, that myself or all of us are genuinely, in this for the right reasons, that I hope that's where it really truly becomes real in the flesh right there in front of us.
Yeah.
It's been a blast. It's been an absolute blast.
Do you feel like there's a certain part of, I think even us as, Adam and Nick and Ryan, we're at the peak of internet skepticism of nearly everything, right? It's like we've gotten to the point where if a reviewer, IGN, posts new Alien show is a 9 out of 10. You go to the comments and people are like, yeah, right. Like how much should Hulu pay for this ad? You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm like,
I would call that cynicism. I mean, skepticism is too generous.
Sure. Yeah. I'm with you on that. But it's gotten to that point where like now we can't even trust other people's excitement about things. Yeah. And so there's a hard balance because I'm watching the show right now. I'm like, there has not been every episode's been amazing. I'm like, this is incredible that we're getting something of this quality for a franchise that started in 1979. Again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when you think about the navigating those waters, because again, to Adam's point, I love that you're over here getting, Disney sending over like, hey, we've got these, action figures that are going to be great for your kids. And then the next one, you're like, you've got this boombox and you're doing this hardcore dance to, a day to remember, something like that. And I'm sitting here being like, yes, I hope the social media gals at Disney are like flipping through this, just getting absolutely blasted. And they're like, oh yeah, that's Jake. All right. He's yeah. And I love that for so many ways because the variety of people that they interact with is really great. And we've, talked with Dimitri and, Carly King's great and all these people, but, they've certainly gotten to a point where like everyone kind of got, I want to say like made from a shtick, and for Carly, it was, the lightsabers. For Dimitri, it was, doing the mixes and the wedding band DJ mixes and then his dances
on the
and all
breakfast
that.
bar in the apartment.
Yeah, it's awesome,
Yeah.
And he's super and he's great. And so I love that there's so much space for unique kinds of people to be celebrated. But how do you feel like you navigate, this particularly worse part of the internet as we're all discovering every day, and keeping what you think is positivity of, keeping it so that you want to wake up the next day and go, okay, let's do this again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it really comes down to knowing when it's a good time to just step back.
Sure.
Take a breather.
That's a great point.
If I try to ask myself in the midst of whatever I'm scrolling, am I scrolling for any benefit here? If I'm not looking for inspiration, am I on here to help out somebody with their video and dropping a comment, help out fellow creator friends? Am I just doom scrolling? And if I'm just doom scrolling, it's ramping up the percentage that I'm going to get in a weird headspace, or I'm going to start getting cynical, or see something that just kind of throws me off, whatever that may be in the negative realm. I have to just be self-aware and know, it's time to just put the phone down. It's time to back off for a second here. And again, I'm gonna harp on community, and by harp on, I mean like, thank you so much, community. That's what's helped is having people that have our backs, that remind us that we're having a good time, and we have made the connections that have made this worthwhile. It could all, end tomorrow. Vine could have been it. And I would have, packed up shop and just, well, there's that, lightning in a bottle once. Sure. But cool. I made, that's when I knew it was a good experience, is because as it was going away, I wasn't thinking about, oh no, I'm not going to get any more cool opportunities. It was immense gratitude that I got to meet these people in the midst of this cool experience.
Yeah.
And if that's it, wow.
Sure.
I had people at my wedding that I met because of Vine. Like that's
wild, dude.
So that's what has really helped. And I feel like will always be the sticking point of being able to hone it back in if there's ever just a rough day. Wanting to just be like, I'm done with this. What's the point? There's look at all this negativity about this show or this movie, or I just want to like stuff, and majority are just taking a dump all over it. I'm able to lean back into the fact that you guys, you named off some key people that have been such a massive bright spot in all of this. Like I met Dimitri, one of my first Disney trip, which is insane. I'm not saying my only Disney trip. Like it's insane that they even reached out once. But I met him through that, and numerous others in the second or third time. And that's what's made it all worthwhile. I could have gone out by myself and it could have been a solo trip, and wow, that's insane. But something would have been missing. And I wouldn't have known what that was if not for the fact that they do such a good job of curating just a massive, cool group of creators from all different realms,
Mm-hmm.
and people I never would have met that have been massive, like I said, a huge positive just ray of encouragement just to know.
Yeah.
That again have just made all this worthwhile. Jen and Jeremy, phenomenal. If I'm ever at a con or something, an event with like Star Wars, where we had the Imperial March, that was last year, where they're just a big, check out all these products. That would have been cool, but it was extra worthwhile because
that was the one.
Jeremy wasn't there, but Jen was there. Sunfield was there.
Yeah.
Dimitri was DJing. Like it's the community. That's what's made all of this absolutely worthwhile. And that's what helps and has been the sticking point for staying positive and just loving it still somehow.
Yeah. Dude, you mentioned thinking about what was next, or speculating if Vine had just dropped off and you had not known what to do next. I want to ask you a specific question that's more like focused on maybe other people who want to hear your thoughts on how you navigate that. But first, I just something like philosophical that I want to talk about. There's a question in here, but I just want to like spit out these thoughts for a second. If you think about entertainment the way it was when we were little kids and long before we existed, you had people who made entertainment, you had people who broadcasted that entertainment, you had people who reviewed that entertainment, gave their opinions about it, and they were a trusted filter to a lot of people. And of course, there were people behind the scenes managing all that kind of stuff, logistics, everything, right? And at some point, the idea of a critic saying whether or not something good, whether or not it's something good, how many stars it gets, whether or not you should see it or listen to it, kind of faded. There's legitimate journalism in there that's just talking about it, but so much of it was opinion-based, right? That eventually fell off, as well as old school journalism, and was replaced by this community-based thing of people just having a global platform to say what they think about things. And that made space for someone to not be a traditional critic, a traditional reviewer, space for people like us, space for podcasts, space for, and then later social media, for people to just be stoked about shit and just talk about it. It's a really bizarre thing when you think about it. Like, honestly, like the first time I even heard of a podcast, it was a former radio DJ in St. Louis who he and his partner were starting a podcast. And I'm like, wow. And they built a studio. They did the whole thing because they were coming from the old school radio kind of thing. And I'm like, damn, podcasts, like, it's a big ass deal to do that too. Maybe I don't know how I would ever do that. That'd be wild. And yet here we are, barrier to entry drops. You get on a thing like Vine and build a whole second career out of just being stoked about shit. Like a job segment that didn't even exist when we were in high school. Now in just this short period of time, there's this whole new thing, just like on a philosophical level about, thinking about what we want as humans, what we want to do, what we want to receive from other people, hear from other people, what entertains us. Do you ever think about how wild the whole concept is? That it's not like a traditional, look at the movie I made, look at the song I wrote, look at the basket I weaved. It's more like, you guys are pumped? Me too. Let's talk about this. This is my job.
Yeah. It's hard to fully wrap my head around. I look back on where it started and for me, and it's insane. It literally is such a strange new landscape. It's not new anymore, but I feel like it still feels like you can toss new in there because it's just constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I legitimately don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had a fallback when Vine was kind of on its way out. Right. I thankfully had set up a Facebook page and that was a good supplement. It felt like it wasn't something to really fall back on, but it thankfully was, because people still, as much as we harp on Facebook, as, oh, that's just where I go to get happy birthday from my aunt and see some throwback stuff. But it's bizarre. I mean, like you said, really, like a lot of the traditional roles have kind of gone out the window, and a lot of us have become kind of like, I wear many hats. Like somebody's a reviewer, but also has some skits here and there. Like I can think of multiple off the top of my head that maybe started one way of just reviewing movies, and because of everything kind of capitalizing on social media, and also able to establish themselves enough to where they feel comfortable bringing in more of their personality into their platform and not being just one lane. Yeah, traditional, it is really strange to think how a lot of, like you said, traditional has kind of gone out the window with journalism. It's weird seeing a lot of print just is. There's a lot of times I used to just collect magazines just because I'd be like, oh, this, such and such movies being a first look on the cover of Entertainment Weekly or Empire
Variety,
magazine.
Empire. Yeah.
A lot of those I would forget about in recent years, and then I'd go, oh, that's cool that so and so is on the cover. I should go grab that issue. I tried to do that just with Fantastic Four, and then realized, oh, that's just literally just a digital cover. That's not a thing anymore. What?
That's
it's just
sad.
It is. It is.
Jake, what is the because something I think in everyone who has ideas of, when you look at goals, and of course for these guys it's, are we able to support ourselves as musicians? For me, it's like, am I able to pay my bills as a creative? We look at the podcast as we don't have exactly the following to get like the ear of Star Wars to say we can't ignore this account. And like we had Roro Muffins on a couple episodes ago, and Rose was the the girl that watched a movie for the first time, and her reaction's 100% authentic, and then just blows up on TikTok.
Oh yeah, that episode was great.
She's awesome, right? And then like she's like, oh, Star Wars reached out, they wanted to bring me to Japan, and like it was too short notice, and she's her job is definitely not watching movies full time. Like she does I don't want to out her, but like she does really important work, and it cracked me up at that idea of like how quickly something like that can happen, and then that person becomes an influencer within 2 weeks, right? And so but then here internally we've been like, damn, we'd love to go to press, we'd love to like it, and you have to play that game sometimes where some of our friends in the podcast world have gotten early access to stuff, and like Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explains sometimes get the shows almost 2-3 weeks ahead of time, and they do a really great job of honoring the agreement to say, hey, don't let anything out early, but like definitely drop your opinions, blah blah blah. And we haven't really been able to break through that, and so there's been a part of us that we look at and go, man, like we wonder, maybe it's a little bit of jealousy, maybe it's a little bit of wanting to like have an analytical take, because so much of social media is like immediate reaction, what did you think about it? And it's like, I loved it, and we're sitting here being like, that is the most basic review we could have got. Like, we need more. Exactly. What are the costumes like? What planets do they go to? Like, what's going on here? But I know that that's all part of it. So like, from that perspective, you sometimes ask yourself, like, what is the role of a partner in content creation? What is the role of being invited? What are the expectations put on you get early access to go see a movie that you've been excited to go see yourself personally? This summer was full of them: Jurassic Park, Superman, Fantastic Four. What is that process like in what you feel like your role is with some of these like kind of official partnerships with some of these studios, to give people an idea that it's not necessarily just, like, hey, be here at this place in this time and then do whatever you want.
And to add to that question is, I would assume that you as an adult, as a 40-year-old person, understand the responsibility and the obligation that you have to like deliver something that you feel like is worth what they gave you. Whereas if you're, a high school kid that goes viral and you get invited to shit, you're like, oh, sick, I got to go. And you might not follow through. And I mean, I wouldn't have. So.
Right. No, that's exactly,
thanks for the tickets. That was sick. Bye.
Right. That's what I'm talking about earlier. If this had happened decades ago,
sure.
That's probably what I did. I would have been one selfie, like, whoa, can't believe I'm here. That's it. Probably wouldn't have even had a reaction or a review or a reply after, maybe, but it would have been very low effort, minimal, just like, I'm cool enough to be here. Look at me. Like, please. That's where it is hard is I feel like I would assume in how it's usually laid out, where whether it's an email or a call or a DM, is that just show up. There's not a huge expectation, but they do ask like, hey, we want to know what you thought of fill in the blank, whatever, if it's 2 episodes of a show or a movie. Post about your experience and then post afterwards, and then they also usually want to know like, how soon is it going to be tonight? Is it going to be tomorrow, within the first 48 hours, whatever? My assumption is that like everybody's like on the same understanding and like we're going to deliver that. And so, within reason, post here and there throughout, don't have your, phone out the entire time, whatever device you've got that you're doing it, be present, get some stuff here and there. It's not hard. We all have obviously made it here because we, to various degrees, know what we're doing. So it is bizarre going to these, and most of the fellow creators that I know are on that same page. We're posting throughout. We're capturing what the experience looks like, or if not during, a really cool recap the next day of everything, whether it's the red carpet or in the theater before you're allowed, you're supposed to shut off and they turn on the night vision goggles and they're like ready to kick you out if you do anything.
Sure.
It's bizarre that there are still some that literally just show up, post one thing on the red carpet to, for the clout or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe a real brief, like, movie was dope. And that's it, and it's sometimes they get invited back and you're like, but why? What is that benefiting?
Right.
And then sometimes I've seen a few that like, they may be their schedule, or they may literally not be invited back because studios are starting to realize, wait, what's the point of such and such person coming out if they're not going to lean into the fun? So I don't, thankfully the majority, like I said, and it is cool being able to show up to these events, few and far between, and start to know more and more people there, and whether they would be doing the same thing or whether we're indirectly influencing each other to, hey, post something fun, or let's do something together. And then there's more posted out there. We're obviously legitimately having a good time, so let's post that, and then also give our thoughts, however limited or much we can say, depending on when the movie or the show is coming out. If it's like 2 weeks out, sometimes there's like no spoilers, just say like, or and then wait till you're the window of time has lifted, and then the embargo has lifted, and then talk about it. Like that's always been my expectation and understanding. And so I try to, like you said, like it's goofy that it should come down to like, as an adult, I know what is expected of me and what I would want out of this. But there are a lot that agree. And there's some that in our age range that treat it just the same, and then do the bare minimum, and you're like, come on, man, just I want to know what you thought. Like, come on, just
like, do you ever have this issue? Sometimes we've talked about this, like Adam, Nick, myself, Ryan, we are all massive fans of things outside of just Star Wars, but the thing that connects us and has built, kind of whirlwind around in our community has been Star Wars. And so like, you kind of get to this point where you're like watching influencers and you're sitting here being like, okay, this person is the biggest fan of everything that's like, lo and behold, the new latest thing that turns out they're the biggest fan of this. Right. And so like, that's where the authenticity starts to like, why did I say it's a word? That's where the authenticity starts to break down a little bit, where I'm sitting here being like, I'm not saying that you're not a huge Ninja Turtles fan, but like the math ain't mathin' for me in terms of like, like why are we celebrating the 90s version when you weren't born yet? Right. And so like, it's not to say that you're a hater. It's more so just kind of looking at like the motives of the studios to be like, is this their attempt to try to bring a younger audience to celebrate the iconic monumental jumps that Jim Henson made as far as practical costumes go? Was it celebrating the fact that this was the first time that we brought up smashing comic book into pop culture? This was the first like super branded promotion that happened besides Batman 1989. Like, you wonder these questions of what the studios are, because the thing that I also say is like a lot of the studios, their social media managers are our age.
Yeah.
And so there is this kind of weird thing where you're sitting here being like, hello, fellow kids, but also you're curious as to like what some of the decisions are. And you've done such a great job of kind of saying like, if it's in the millennium, if like, if it's Ninja Turtles, if you were watching Saturday morning cartoons, if it's Pokemon, if it's, and you have kids, so you get to kind of relive some of this stuff. But has there ever been a situation the same way that sometimes like, Ryan got invited to go see the first 3 episodes of Alien. And I remember being like, how come we didn't get invited? And I'm like, oh, right. Cause they don't know that we don't watch anything outside of Star Wars because of the way that we always talk about Star Wars. So, have you ever had that issue of like, have you ever got an invite for a fandom that you're not really that geeked on, or, you know what I mean? Like, how do you handle that if that's happened?
It's happened a couple times, and it's either been, I'll come check it out if the stars align.
Sure.
But there have been a couple that I've turned down just out of sheer like I don't know anything about this.
Sure.
Yeah. And I've just been real straight up with them, like, hey, I would love if you have any other opportunities coming up, but I've just been straight up with them. I'm like, I legitimately don't know anything about this franchise.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
As much as whatever reason you found me or picked me. I got nothing for you in this. It would be very, very bare bones. Like, oh wow, I don't know who that character is. Why is that a big deal?
Sure, yeah. But props to you for being like, I'm being real about that.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times where I sit here and go, oh, okay, like spelling it wrong or something in the caption, I'm like, there is nothing more cringe than seeing a person who's like, I enjoyed the free trip to New York. Thank you very much. Also, what's the name of this movie? It seems interesting.
Yeah. And I saw one yesterday that was like, you clearly have never seen this.
Sure.
Yeah.
You just butchered that name.
Yeah.
And maybe you just never heard the name, but I don't know. But
welcome to Naruto.
Right.
Welcome.
To me, that's like a high profile version of someone seeing people taking pictures with a celebrity in an airport and going, I have to get a picture with that person. Who is it? I don't know, but look at all these people taking a picture with them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think like that part of authenticity makes it so that, and the ebbs and flows, right? Like there's been times where like we've considered going, should we, Nick wanted to bring in for a while we're in this lull. And we've started to do it a little bit more to be like, what can Star Wars learn from Superman, or like, hey, we're, doing these crossover, like horror ideas around Halloween, because like, I'm just loving the Alien show. And, so we get those times where we, think about breaking up, but then at the same time, it's like, come after Thanksgiving and the marketing for Mando Grogu fires up, like we want to be back in that search algorithm. You know what I mean? Like we want to be there to say like, yeah, through the, kind of through the drought, we were still at least being one of the many podcasts that are holding a candle for this franchise when it's not cool. And when the other fandoms have moved on to say, hey, this is the way cooler thing right now. Authenticity is something really important, but I can also see how if you're trying to keep the stoke alive, this was a great summer to do that. So in those ways, I'm almost like, man, like it would be, but then how do we set ourselves apart as just being another podcast full of white dudes talking about pop culture, because that is
Old
true
ones.
too. Yeah. So, it's been awesome seeing you navigate being a millennial and having kids. Have you had the conversation with the kids about, kind of what it is that dad does sometimes? And like, do they have, because my kid watches YouTube more than any single streaming service. And we talked about this last week on the, does Gen Z care about Star Wars, and just the viewing habits of their attention spans are so short. And so in some ways, social media, which I won't let my kid get on for a while, it's perfect for it's almost like they've biohacked how human brains work. Imagine that. But how have you navigated that conversation with like your kids? Because I think for a lot of people, some of that hindrance is also going, man, I got to hold a line to tell my kids, like, you can't get addicted to social media because that's not good for your brain because you're too young. But also I have to go podcast and dad's got to go make a a reel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's been numerous moments where it feels very contradictory, and I feel like a huge hypocrite because we're very adamant about like screen time.
Yeah.
And what they watch and when they watch it. And I still don't think they fully grasp what I do.
Sure.
Which is I get it. They're 8 and 5. So that, you know, I think my 8-year-old's starting to understand, especially when it's like more like an in-person event and they actually get to come along.
Yeah.
Like then it's more of a conversation of, hey, let's hear some gratitude because we're here for a reason. And this is not normal. We don't, and not to say like, oh, you know, I'm cool because no. Let's have some humility here, but also like, let's be grateful that we're here and, you know, tone down the complaining because holy crap, we're at Disney for free. Like just ridiculous.
Yeah. Imagine insane.
Imagine that, which is just insane to even, say it out loud. And it just feels absurd. But, it's a lot of moments of like, look, I understand that I told you can't be on the iPad or play the Switch while I'm over here just scrolling. And then that comes into play a lot of those moments of like, okay, am I really doing something beneficial for my social media realm of what I do?
Right.
Or am I literally just doom scrolling? And then I'm like, okay, I am being a hypocrite in this moment.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's
he's positive and he's self-aware. People, who is this guy?
What is happening here?
Natasha, the patron chat says, I suppose it's the same as being a brewer or a distiller, you know, and telling your kids like, sorry, you're not old enough to have this drink.
Exactly.
This liquid's not for you, but this
kids
is
like, I'm just trying to support the family, support the economy. You're like, true. Well, you could support the cranberry farmers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
They got to
it does trip them out every now and then. We'll be because we'll watch regular YouTube as a family. We'll have like safe compilations. There's the Daily Dose of Internet. The guy just kind of like curates a bunch of fun stuff within 3 minutes or less.
Yeah, my kids watch it too.
But we'll be kind of scrolling down to like the little tab or section on the main page where there's shorts. And sometimes my stuff will pop up and they're like, whoa,
Dad. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
You and Shaq, right? You and Shaq eating gummy treats. I saw some today. I was like, I should have got some of those instead.
Dude, those are the best.
I got influenced.
They are good.
Those are the best.
That's where the influence does come in because, hey, go get those gummies because they're good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I have to keep disappointingly telling everybody that has asked about that commercial, like, no, I didn't actually meet him. That was filmed like 4 months apart.
Sure.
Miles away. He is in Atlanta, but I've not stood next to him and
let him touch your beard.
Exactly. He probably would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reach down and touch your beard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the whole parenting aspect and the weird overlap and the moments of self-awareness trying to I'm getting there. I'm not trying to put on a front and be like, oh, I'm totally I have my moments. There's definitely moments where I'm like, oh, okay, let me put that away because I told you can't. It's a weird realm to be living in. And
I like that you said lightning in a bottle because I remember when you came to Mosh Isley, New York, and you got to sing Ocean Avenue with Ryan Key.
Yes.
And you were like, I can't believe this happened, right? And now it's to the point where I'm like, if you're not singing Ocean Avenue with Ryan Key, is it even a Mosh Isley?
Where the hell's Jake? Dude, where the hell's Jake?
Exactly. Right. Get him up here. He's got to come on. This is his song at this point.
I was in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. But I just, again, dude, thank you, for going on this journey with us because Mosh Isley is made of people who buy into it. And, Adam and I have talked about this, at this point, once you've been to all the cons, you're going now to see people that you love and to hang out. And, I'm not going to stand in line for an exclusive as something. I'm going to check out art. I'm going to hang with my friends. And that's what's made this, that's what's made all of them so travel worthy. And it will be one day, it'd be nice to have everyone just hang out with absolutely zero agenda. Would be crazy. And I hope that John and Justin are listening so that when we have the Roosevelt's beach party next summer, we have no agenda other than just to come and hang out. So dude, thank you, Jake, for first of all, being you and also continuing to be a positive light among this crazy time we're living in. It has been super refreshing.
Thank you guys. Cause like I said, moments like this, the fact that it's not just like a first time meeting, like, do we actually know each other because of this insane realm of everything we've been doing, all the overlap, whether it's the fandom, the music, the everything. it's made it entirely worthwhile. So
yeah,
thank you.
Wholesome.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for being on with us. We're gonna have you hang for the bonus segment for patrons after this. Anything you got coming up that you want to tell people about, or just tell them where to find you on all the different platforms and like?
Well, yeah, Pizza Beard Party. That's the main handle across social media. Minus Facebook. Still trying to fight to get that back. That's a whole other story.
Oh,
that was a faux pas of the social media game is falling prey to that. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. Otherwise, coming up, New York Comic Con.
Sweet.
That we spoke of. That's always going to be a special one because that was my first big con.
Yeah.
That was my first time meeting the Roosevelt's gang in person and getting to actually start this whole, journey with those guys. And then the first time I got to go to Mos Eisley was New York 2023. So it's always going to be a special one. So it's a great one to kind of wrap up the year con wise. And I have hinted at it to some people, but my shirt that I teased last New York Comic Con, just kind of wore it to the pizza party, will be partially available.
Yes.
Fresh new pizza
and
blouse.
Then the majority will be online. So I don't know if I'm, for those listening.
Yeah.
But there you go. There's a little tidbit of you. If you're listening, there's your benefit.
There you go.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. ThankTheMakerMerch.com. You should go there. You can get this shirt that I'm wearing. We're still selling it, even though the Japan celebration was now a couple months ago. We got some Andor designs. We'll have some new stuff coming, and we love you, patrons. We'll see you in a minute. Till next week, may the force be with you. Thank the Maker is produced by Adam Russell and Jason Chiodo, and edited by Jason Chiodo. If you enjoy the podcast, you can support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Or you can support us directly at patreon.com/thankthemakerpod, where you can get access to our Discord server, exclusive content, exclusive merch, and more. Our patrons literally make Thank the Maker possible.